What's up, guys? Welcome back to Huddle to Hardwood, your home for Michigan State basketball. My name is Holden,
And my name is Jacob.
and today we are going to be previewing the first game of the March Madness tournament. We are back for the 28th straight year. I believe that it is uh, a record most consecutive tournament appearances for one coach. So, like, not I know Kansas, I think, still technically has more in a row than us right now, but.
Well, kind of. So they had a
Oh,
they had some tournament appearances that were vacated. So I think like in all the graphics, that's why you see us as like the leading team to hold the consecutive playoff appearances or whatever.
anyways, yeah, Tom Izzo broke a record, like most consecutive appearances as one coach. It's just another, accolade to his name and why we love him so much. And literally, he's been putting us in this tournament longer than we've been alive. So I'm grateful for him. So yeah, we're gonna kick it off by playing North Dakota State in the first round, 3 versus 14 matchup. Michigan State opens as 16.5 point favorites with a money line of minus 3,000, and North Dakota State has a money line of plus 1,200. So without further ado, I'll have send it off to you, Jake, to get this preview started.
Yeah, so first things first, they finished the season with a 27-7 record, which is not too bad at all. It's a pretty good season for a mid-major school. They finished first in their conference, and for those who don't know where North Dakota State plays, they play in the Summit League. They finished 14-2, and they got the 14th overall seed because of that. So I wanted to touch on some notable wins. Spoiler alert, there's none. They have played zero quad one games all year long. They have played one quad two game, and it was a loss to St. Thomas, Minnesota, and they lost by 22 points. So safe to say, like their competition wasn't very good this year, and a lot of quad three and quad four games. Like that was all their games for the rest of the season. But getting into their last five games. We'll start off first. Win against North Dakota. They won 70-62. This is a name you're going to hear a lot this episode, but Damari Wheeler Thomas, he was the leading scorer with 19 points, and Tay Smith was the second leading scorer with 13 points off the bench. And you'll know why I put off the bench here in a second. But their next game was a win against Omaha where they won 74-50. And if you guys remember Omaha, I believe we played them last year in the first round. Or no, St. John's played them last year in the first round, I think.
That's
Um,
where Frankie Fiddler went to college, I
yeah.
believe.
So they
Oh,
played
Frankie.
St. John's, I believe, last year in the first round. But this one, Trayson Anderson led the way with 16 points. Damari Wheeler Thomas scored 15 points. And one thing I noticed about this game, this was a blowout for one, so this is one of the reasons. But 13 players came into the game uh, on that day, and if you don't know, typically teams have to, their max is 15. So only two players didn't play that game. Um, and then they played against Oral Roberts where they won. I forgot to write down the score in that game. But Damari Wheeler Thomas led the way with 18 points, and Travion Carson had 17. And then they played against North Dakota again, where they won. This time they absolutely crushed them, 96-63. Tay Smith led the way with 28 points, and this is why I said he was off the bench. This game he started. So this was his last started game. After this game, he went on to come off the bench, which I'm not sure why. I don't know how you score 28 points when you start and then get benched unless he's always been a bench player, but I noticed that that was like one of
Who'd
the
you say it was? I missed the
A
name.
Smith.
Hey Smith. Okay. I don't have him written down on here, so
He For the last three games, he's gotten the most minutes off the bench, and this game he started. But yeah, Damari Wheeler Thomas had 19, and then their last loss was against St. Thomas, Minnesota, where Noah Feddersen had 13 points. Damari Wheeler Thomas and Trayson Anderson added 11 points apiece. So that was their last five games, and we'll start digging in onto who Damari Wheeler Thomas is and his teammates are.
Yeah, so I got a couple guys written down here for key players on their team and who I think will match up well with them defensively. So yeah, we'll kick it off real quick with Damari Wheeler Thomas. He averages 14 and a half points per game. He's listed at 6 foot, but I think that is very generous. I just did some general like highlight clip searches of some of their players to see how like their play styles are and stuff like that. Very generous 6 foot. He's more of a 5'10" kind of point guard, so he's pretty small. Um, but yeah, he averages 14 and a half points a game. He shoots 38% from three, which is a solid 3-point shooting percentage. And in total, he shoots 40% from the field. So he only shoots 2% better all combined than he does 3-point shooting. One thing I did notice from him, just looking through his season stats, is he likes to shoot the ball a lot, whether that be sometimes he shoots up to 9 to 10 threes and he makes around, 4 to 5 of them. And sometimes, he's adding still 6 to 7 shots inside the arc and he's just taking like 15 to 18 shots a game, the stuff that I was looking at a very low percentage most of the time. So I think that'll be a good matchup for Jeremy Fears because you don't see a lot of point guards that Jeremy Fears is guarding that are, shorter than him and like of a lesser size than him. So I think Jeremy Fears has a good opportunity, to get his confidence back in defending the perimeter because he has struggled with that in the last couple of games here. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the matchup that I have listed here first?
Yeah, I mean, as long as Jeremy actually comes to play and brings his defense shoes to the game, because we know last game against UCLA, he really struggled defensively, and so did our other guards. So, I mean, I'll touch a little bit more on that in my keys to victory, but I think it's a great matchup for him as long as he's coming ready to play.
All right, yep. And then our next person I have written down on here is 6'3" shooting guard Travion Carson. He averages 12 points per game, shoots better than his teammate. Statistically, he shoots 48% from the field. But I did some digging and stuff. Since February, he is only shooting 33% from the field. So since the month of February, he has dropped significantly in his shooting percentage, down 15%. Total since February, he is shooting 29 of 88 from the field. So he has been struggling. So he had a hot start to the season where, or his stats, brought him up to that 48% from the field. But now he is, like I said, since the month of February, he is shooting 33%. He's also a guy, he hits a lot of threes up. He doesn't really shoot that much inside the arc, but I mean, he's a capable shooter. So, like, he's going to get his shots up. He has been struggling. So, we don't want to come to a game, where he's getting his confidence, seeing his first couple shots fall, then he'll keep letting him fly and he might knock him down. But he's 6'3". He plays their shooting guard, so naturally I'm going to have Jordan Scott on him. Again, similar to Jeremy Fears, Jordan Scott has been struggling defensively. Um, and like don't want to say he necessarily hit his freshman wall, but he has a little bit. He's kind of fallen off since he had that 5 or 6 game stretch of double digits and constantly guarding like the other team's best player. I think that has kind of worn on him down the stretch here a little bit. All of the mileage and stuff he's put on and effort he puts on the defensive end and the rebounding and hustle plays alone. I think he like towards the end of the season he might be hitting a little bit of a lull here. So I'm hoping he can start to turn the corner a little bit and get through that. But what are your thoughts on what I just had to say about Travion Carson as of late?
Yeah, I yeah, I mean, I have some other stuff I guess I want to say about Travion Carson, and I guess I'm gonna go a little off track, but I'll promise I come back. So I do want to note that this team is a very small team, and I promise this is relevant. So their tallest players are Trayson Anderson, who's 6'9", and Noah Federson, who's 6'10". That's it. But so with that being said, with the tallest players on the team being those two guys, Travion Carson at 6'3" is the team's leading rebounder with 6.5 rebounds per game. I find that kind of crazy personally that like a shooting guard is leading the team in rebounds because it's not like the NBA where it's easy for guards to get boards. Like this isn't a league where guards lead the team in
Yeah.
rebounds. I do like Jordan Scott on him, and yeah, I'll get into the
Especially,
other.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I didn't even bring up the rebounding thing. I mean, especially with Jordan Scott on him. Jordan Scott's another shooting guard that is a very good rebounder. And like Jordan Scott's big enough to where he can play the three. He's 6'7", so he's got 4 inches on him. And he's got 4 inches on him. And I mean, he's a very competent and hardworking on the glass too. So if that's something that Travion Carson, um, is strong at, and he leads the team in rebounding. I think Jordan Scott is someone very suited to know to stop that. So,
Yeah, I love
um,
that matchup for Jordan. I see this as a bounce back game for him defensively against Carson, and hopefully we hold their leading rebounder to under his season average. So
yeah. Um, so the next guy I have on here is Markai Strickland. I think is how you pronounce it. He's a 6'6" small forward. He played at Western Michigan last year. We played him last year when he was at Western Michigan. Don't really remember him too much from that game, but I just know Tom Izzo's talked about him throughout the week, and he said he'd be talking to oh no, I'm forgetting his name, but he was an assistant coach under Tom Izzo for like a decade plus, and he coaches at Western Michigan right now. I'm mad that I can't remember his name, but says he's going to be calling him and asking about this player and his play style and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, he's a 6'6" small forward. He has taken one single 3-pointer all season, so he is not a threat to shoot the 3-pointer
until he
whatsoever.
plays us,
Huh?
that until he
Until
plays
he
us.
plays, yeah. But yeah, he's taken 1 3 all season and missed that 1 3. But he also is a guy that takes a lot of shots, and he takes all his shots from inside the arc. Person that he reminds me of, because I did watch a couple of clips of him. The person he reminds me of is a like absolute non-shooter version of Malik Hall. He does a lot of like Malik Hall kind of played like a undersized four. He's a little bit bigger than this guy is, but similar play style. Like they'll go and they'll force you down low, post you up, do some like turnaround shots, all that kind of stuff. Does a lot of his work inside. Um, he does have the best field goal percentage on the team naturally because he doesn't take any outside shots. He does all his work from the paint. And then something that he does also pretty well is I saw some plays from him that he can jump pretty well and he's pretty athletic and can get above the rim. So naturally, this is sounding like a very good matchup for Cohen Carr. I think these are very similar players. Um, Obviously, Cohen Carr takes a little bit more threes than him, but they are very similar play style, very similar sized. Cohen Carr is obviously 10 times better of an athlete than he is. But one thing I forgot to note on here is that Strickland shoots 48% from the free throw line as well. So Cohen Carr is like 3 percentages or three above that, basically. So these players are like the same player, just this guy, what I would say is a Walmart version of Cohen Carr. But I think there's like a no other person that I would see guarding him this game.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think this I'll touch on it a little later, but I think this is a game for our our bigs and Cohen. So
Yeah, and then I if you don't have much to say about that matchup, then I have two quick notes about the other two bigs. 6'9", 6'10", Trayson Anderson, Noah Federson. They both average around 10 points a game. I'd say just by diving into the stats a little bit, Trayson Anderson, he's like kind of a stretch four. He can step out and shoot the three. He shoots the three just a little bit more than Noah Federson can, but they're both capable of stepping out and shooting. Um, excuse me, naturally one shorter than the other. So, and one shoots a little bit more than the other. So I'll have Jackson on Anderson and Coop on Federson. But then, like, other than that, I will note that I did notice you talked about a different guy coming off the bench, averaging a lot of minutes too. I noticed just looking through their games and stuff like that, they have A guard who comes off the bench. His last name's Stefanovic or something like that. He averages 32 minutes off the bench. And he's also a good 3-point shooter. So their minute distribution is really weird. Anderson and Noah Federson don't really play that much. They play around 20 minutes a game, and then the rest of those starters that I listed play 30 plus minutes, and then they have dudes come off the bench that play a lot. So it's really interesting in that way. But yeah, that's what I have for the matchups.
Yeah, I don't really have any more to add about the matchups, and so that way we can dig into some of these stats. So, one thing that I found interesting is 43% of North Dakota State's field goals come from the three. Find that so they shoot a lot of their shots coming from the arc. They average around 26 three-point attempts per game, make about nine of them. With their highest of the year being 19 three-pointers made against Drake on December 13th. So that kind of scares me. Uh, that was the only time they did it this year, but it shows that they're capable. And God forbid they have a fluke game like that again, hit 19 23s against us. We're going to be in some trouble here. But
I
I
think you
want
said
to see our,
29 threes on accident.
huh?
I think you accidentally said 29 threes instead of 19. I might be tripping.
I might,
Those are 20.
no, I meant to say 19 threes, and
Yeah.
I meant to say, God forbid they make 19
You
223.
might have said 19, but for some
Yeah.
reason, my brain.
But this team, doesn't typically shoot like necessarily greatest from three. They're actually identical to us in 3-point percentage. They shoot 36% from the three, which is exactly what we shoot. But yeah, that 19 against Drake shows that they can have those fluke games, and I pray it's not against us. Um, they average 40 rebounds per game. This is kind of skewed in my opinion with their level of competition.
Very
Uh,
much so.
I'm not, especially with their height, I'm
Yeah.
expecting them to not get a lot of rebounds this game. I mean, obviously we can't hold them to zero and they're going to rebound the ball, but I just don't think they're going to get to the level of 40. I think it's going to be similar to like around
I mean, yeah.
20, 25, like with all the
We're
Big
we're
Ten teams
top
have.
five in offensive and defensive rebounding efficiency, and that's against very high level competition. So
Yeah.
I'm not worried about
So
the rebounding
I'm not,
whatsoever.
yeah, I'm not worried about the rebounds whatsoever. They average 79 points per game, give up 69 points per game. They shoot 47% from the field goal for field goal percentage, which crazy enough, that's what we shoot as well, 47%. So we're pretty similar in terms of shooting the ball. They do have a better free throw percentage than us. They shoot 75% as a team, where we only shoot 71. And the last thing I'm going to note is that they've won six of their last 10 games. So, I mean, nothing too scary. Like we've won eight of our last 10 games. Unfortunately, both those losses came back to back at the last games we played. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about the stats. So, I know you wanted to bring up a little topic before we get into keys of victory. So, you can do.
Yeah, so I mean, it is a topic, but it is also a key to victory. So I'll just start by saying a base word, and that word is defense. So I'll start with this. Um, so since the Minnesota game that we lost, or hashed or after we lost to Michigan, 'cause we lost back to back. Since that game, we have been giving up, or so that was 10 games ago. So out of our last 10 games, five out of the last 10 games, we have given up 1.3 points per possession on defense to the opposing team. So every possession, another team is averaging 1.5 points. It's like essentially we're giving up a bucket every possession. It's not nearly that bad, but we've only done that five times all season, and it has all come in the last 10 games. And if you had to, and we've also done that in our last three, like our last three games, we've given up 80 plus points per game. But if you had to guess what the common denominator is 10 games ago, what do you think that would be? What do you think the difference is and why we're giving up this many points in the last 10 games?
Because Divine's not playing anymore and we got more Denim Wojcik.
Yep. So ever since Divine left, that is when our defense fell. I also forgot to add that as the like going into that Michigan State game, that first matchup, it was a matchup between the number one defense and the number two defense. Michigan State was the number two defense. Since that game, Michigan State has dropped down from the number two defense to the number 17 defense, and that is just a 10 game sample size. 17th, number 17th overall defense is not bad, but dropping down 15 spots in a 10 game sample size versus being top two from 20 plus games is a massive drop off. Like dropping off 15 spots in 10 games. So I will say that I think Divine Ukachukwu, whether that like obviously he's a missing piece on offense. Defensively, I think he is incredibly underrated. He started at the two, obviously, when he was still healthy, but just with how bad our ball screen coverage has been in the last, couple of weeks, I think we're missing a guy like Divine a lot. I don't think he's a great defender by any means, but he's a big difference maker when, say Jeremy Fears goes out of the game, who do we have as backup point guard most of the time? I know we still had Denim Wojcik come in, but most of the time it was Divine Ukachukwu coming in. But when he was able to, defend at the perimeter at a high level and take some of the pressure off of Jordan Scott, because Jordan Scott is asked of a lot on the defensive end. Like I said earlier, Jordan Scott's been kind of falling off a little bit because he's got a lot on his plate with Divine being out. He's asked to defend all the best perimeter players all game long. And so when you take a guy like Divine out, that leaves all the pressure on the defensive perimeter to be, Jordan Scott, Jeremy Fears, and then on guys like Kerr Tang, who are not as good of defenders as the three I just mentioned. So Divine being out is hurting this team a lot defensively, and I think it is showing a lot in recent weeks. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I guess like we're definitely missing Divine on defense. But a lot of that also is a lot of our defensive struggles isn't just because Divine isn't playing. It's mostly because Denim Wojcik is playing. Like, I mean, Divine's a fine defender, but he's not like super great, like top defender in the nation. He's just good. But the problem is when you take a really solid, good defender out of the mix, our overall defense drops. And when you throw someone like Denim Wojcik in, it kind of really hurts us. And like, yeah, I heard the same thing. I heard like 10, 15 games ago, we were top five defense. I know we were number one, number two. We were flirting around that line in the beginning of the season. We ended up maintaining a top five defense for most season. But then yeah, we dropped as low as 22 in defense. Right, obviously right now, like you said, we're 17. We jumped back up. But and not to say being a 22 overall defense is
No,
bad.
but in
It's
a 10 game sample size is
yeah,
crazy.
but for
Dropping
us to
down.
drop that drastically, like it's different when you jump up to 22 from being behind and your defense is improving. But to drop that many spaces back to 22 is really crazy and a really bad sign. And we started doing a little better. We jumped back to 17, but again, we saw what happened against UCLA. We could not get a stop. We saw what happened against Michigan. We could not get a stop. And I know our offense didn't necessarily show up the way it did against Michigan, which they still played fine against UCLA. But like if our defense showed up against Michigan, we would have won that game because our offense was playing phenomenal. And yeah, I mean, I've just been pretty upset with our defense because that was one of our like key strengths and the only reason we were winning the games we were winning in the beginning of the year. But
Yeah, and I will say I agree with what you said about the Don Mojic stuff, but if you really think about it, yes, there's a couple different games that are outliers and stuff, but he really on average plays like 4, maybe 5 minutes a game. What I was really trying to make a point of was just having like when Divine out, you have it takes or when Divine's in, it takes so much pressure off of Jordan and Jeremy Fears. Like when he's in, Jeremy Fears can go out. Then you have Jordan and Divine in, but at the same time, when Jordan goes out to get a break defensively, you still have Jeremy and Divine. So like he's always in there to offset one of those two and give them a break and do all this. But now when he's out, it's like Jordan and Jeremy have to be in all the time for our defense to be competent. If one of them comes out for Denham Wojcik or Kurt Tang or Trey Fort, our defense falls off a cliff. And then like even when they have their struggles, Jordan and Jeremy Fears, like it's just unacceptable because we can't afford it, and then it makes it look really bad. So I just miss Divine with all my heart, and I think he is the big missing piece on this defense. Yes, our bigs have struggled a little bit defensively, and they need to be better. But I mean, I don't want to say it's all in the guards too, but I think just a guy like Divine taking him out really hurts our depth a lot, and it showed a lot defensively because our two guard in our guard position has been our least, depth worthy spot all season, and it's really starting to show, and it sucks that it's starting to show rear its ugly head at the end of the season. But um, yeah, we don't have to talk about that too much. I just thought it was important. Shout out Sleepers Media for that stat and that topic. They gave me that idea, and I thought that was really interesting. Um, but yeah, so we can get back into our keys to victory. Don't have too many in-depth things to talk about here, but we talked about it a little bit already. I just say don't give them confidence early. You said you were scared of, the capability of them hitting 19 threes in a game. Start the game out where, they don't see their first couple of threes go in. You don't want to see them like get their confidence like immediately. Then they're going to just keep letting them fly, keep letting them fly, make it so they're second guessing themselves, not taking the first open look they get, make them hesitate on shots. Just get into, excuse me, get into them defensively right away. Just immediate foot on the gas pedal. Like, do not give them confidence to start the game. Um, Talked about already, screen defense needs to be better. We've been struggling the last couple games. Every guard has been able to get straight downhill into the paint, whether they're finishing by themselves, floating it by themselves, or like when the guard gets to the paint, that forces the guy that's on the strong side corner to come in and help, and then boom, kick out for a wide open three. The screen defense just has to be better, whether that be hedging or the guards getting over in time. It's just been really bad, and it's been our biggest struggle, in my opinion, over the last couple games when defending. And then I have just your typical defend, rebound, and run on here. We need to get back to that this game and in March Madness in general. It's not like we have been lacking at that recently, but I think in this game in general, I think they're undersized, and I think we are going to be the way more physical team down low. And in general, we're going to be better defensively. So I look to this game to get stops, and we're going to out rebound them like crazy, get the rebound and run. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with a guy like Cohen Carr. I think this is going to be a great game for him, great matchup for him. I don't think they have ever seen an athlete like him. Um, and I think this is going to be a game where we control the glass and we get out and run. You're going to see a lot of Cohen Carr dunks this game. And then I just have feed the bigs because they're small inside. I want to see Jackson and Cooper continue what they've been doing as of recent. They've been playing really well and really consistent, and I want them to keep that going. And if all of that goes well, I think we do bode very well in this game. But I've talked a lot, so I'll kick it off to you, Jacob, for your keys to victory. But
Yeah, so the first thing I'm gonna start off with is our guards have to come ready to play defense. Simple
yeah,
as that. They're a pretty small team, very guard-oriented team. And I think we should come out overplaying the guards. And when I say overplaying, I don't necessarily mean like full court pressing them the entire game because we simply just cannot do that with our depth problems.
yeah,
I'm more saying that I think our guards should be like denying the entire game, denying like the wings and let the post be open. Make them beat us from the post. They don't have the big guys to compete with ours in Jackson and Coop. And I think for us to win this game, we really have to take away their 3-point shot. We got to make them go in the post, and we got to make their guards uncomfortable. Their guards haven't seen this level of competition all year and the aggressiveness of us. And I think making them uncomfortable is going to make this game pretty hard for them to even cover the spread if we come out playing like that. So that's the first thing I have. Second thing I have is control the pace of the game. In these games, sometimes like playing too slow can hurt you, because then the other team catches momentum, then you can't get yours back. Other times, playing too fast can help the other team come back. So like I just really think that in this game, Jeremy's got to control the pace of the game, understand the situation we're in, and just put our pedal to the metal if we need to, and yeah, just control the pace of the game. I also have feed the post. Again, very small team. I think we will benefit tremendously if we. I want to see the ball get into the post at least once every single possession. That doesn't mean that Carson or Jackson are doing a post move and shooting and scoring every possession or whatever. Just because you get in the post, it opens up passes to the three-point line. It opens up other opportunities. So I want to see them touch the ball in the post every single possession and let Carson and Jackson absolutely eat down there. This
For
is
whatever reason, against UCLA, we could not get the ball into the post. Like they were still a
yeah.
lot. They played small ball all game, and every time we tried to get to the post, they were deflecting it and batting it down. So we got to fix that. We got to get the
So
ball into the post
with
first.
that point you just made, if that were to happen again, how about crazy idea? We change up the offense. Like, because if they're cutting off our post and we can't get the ball in, why are we continuing to try to force feed it in? So like, I'm saying that we should do it, but if it's not available, don't force it. Try to do something else. Set screens, set off-ball screens, move around. Like, do things that are not predictable and not forcing it. But yeah,
That
I
was half
think.
our turnovers last game. Was literally just trying to get to the post. I think I could count like 5 or 6 times where they just tried to feed the post, and it was terrible. And then they just ran the other way with it.
Yeah. So the other thing I have is going along with the guards and everything. Shut down Damari Wheeler Thomas. Like he's their leading scorer. I know there's other guys on the team that can score, but like the one game that they lost in the last five, he only scored 11 points. And I mean, they just don't have enough talent, to be honest, to keep up if we play the way we're supposed to. And if we shut down their best player, they're not gonna they're not going to be able to keep up. And then no second chance shots. They statistically are a decent rebounding team, but let's be honest, like I was talking about earlier, they haven't played anyone to really compete with us on the rebounds.
Like
So
if their 6'3" shooting guard leads them in rebounds, I'm not worried about them rebounding up
no,
against
not at all.
us.
And it's like just don't even like I know against UCLA and Michigan, second chance points really killed us, but this is a perfect team to really not let them score second chance points because that will kill us if they do get second chance points, which they shouldn't because they don't have the guys to rebound like we do. So just don't even let them get a chance. Stay disciplined on defense. They uh they shoot pretty decent from the line as a team, so keep our hands to ourselves and stay disciplined with our arms, and then go into my classics, move on offense. That includes off ball movement, moving the ball around the perimeter. I don't want to see this game like we did against UCLA. I don't want to see Jeremy just sitting there dribbling the ball at the top of the key. And I mean, that's not necessarily all on Jeremy. It's also his teammates that aren't getting open. But also it is on Jeremy because he's got to create too. He's got to drive. He can't just be sitting there
He
dribbling the
gets
ball.
stagnant sometimes. Some he
Yeah.
decides when he wants to be aggressive, and sometimes he just is not for whatever reason. It
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
exactly. So create for yourself, create for others. Don't be standing still. And then this game, very important to come out with energy. We would have not played a game in 6 days at tip off tomorrow.
And that's like
So,
games in 2 weeks, pretty much, because we've had a lot of
yeah.
days in between all of our last games.
And typically for us Spartan fans, we know that when our team has a lot of time off, they tend to play pretty poorly, especially at the start of the game. They don't ever have energy coming out. So I think this game will be more important to us than if we were to win and make it a second round game because I think we just play better, we coach better, we do everything better when we have games closer together and we have that flow going through. So come out with energy, don't even let it become a game. And last thing I'm gonna say is be physical. This team's a small team. Uh they aren't going to be used to a physical type of basketball style, and they're going to be flustered if we do play physical and we could take control of the game from tip off. But that's all I have for my keys to win. So what is your prediction?
Yeah, so I think this is a game get back on track naturally, with it being a 3 versus 14. I see us being more physical, like you said, and I see us out rebounding them by a lot, and I see us, not letting them get those second chance points, getting most of the rebounds and getting out and running and playing our brand of basketball. Um, but I do think it'll be that sort of game where we're, winning pretty comfortably by 20 plus throughout the game. And then they hit some threes to cover the spread a little bit. So I have them covering the spread. I have Michigan State winning 80 to 65, but the score doesn't really tell the story of the game.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make the prediction that MSU comes out slow, unfortunately, because
Probably.
I really hope I'm wrong on this prediction. I really do. But like I was saying, we haven't played in 6 games. We typically don't ever cover the spread, regardless. And I'm gonna say the first half's gonna be looking really rough. I think it's gonna be like a 5 point game at halftime. If not. Maybe NDSU is shocking the world at halftime, which I really, again, hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But with that being said, I think MSU has a really good second half and gets the groove going, and I think we win 85 to 74. I do think in that second half, like you were saying, we get up by 20 at some point, but they come back and bring it within 11 to finish the game.
Righty. Well, I'm excited to get it started, and let's see what happens. Hopefully, move on to the second